Brian Cashman of the Yankees is pushing all of the emergency buttons to hopefully not get fired. We'll talk about them in a second. Bryce Harper turned into Trey Turner. He was flying around the bases. Look at that. Another inside the park home run. I think we've had 5 inside the park home runs this week. Ha-Seong Kim, he's having one of the most insane seasons I've ever seen. And the Mariners, yeah, they might be the sneaky team to beat in the AL. All of that in today's MLB Recap, a series in which we recap every single game, almost every single day. And a reminder, if you're going to any concerts or baseball games anytime soon, save yourself 20 bucks off on SeatGeek using code Fuzzy. Now, before we get into all of the madness and the games from yesterday, I do want to talk about this quote from the Orioles owner. So the Orioles didn't even play yesterday, but they were in the news, not for a great reason. So the owner of the Orioles, John Angelos, basically said that the Orioles' financial margins are so thin that they cannot afford extensions unless they raise prices dramatically. I'm talking ticket prices, parking, food prices, everything like that. That is a complete and utter joke in my opinion. I was wondering why the Orioles basically spent nothing in free agency over the last few seasons, and we just found out why. Their owner is crying poor. Sell the team if you can't afford to give Gunnar Henderson, Ali Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez extensions. That is a slap in the face to your fan base, and not only that, but to the staff that develops and scouts these young players as well. The Orioles are so good because of their young players, and you're just gonna go ahead and kind of slap the fan base and kind of give them a reality check like, hey, this is gonna be a cool run, but we're not gonna be able to sustain this or continue this into the future because we can't afford these guys unless you want to pay $87 for a hot dog. Did you guys know on opening day every single year, every owner in baseball gets a $60 to $75 million check for a TV deal? So if the owner of the Orioles wants to cry poor, even though he basically starts the season off profitable, he can go sell the team. He can go take that and shove it up you know what, because that is the most embarrassing quote I have heard from an owner in quite some time. Steve Cohen, he doesn't care if he goes broke in the process of trying to win a championship. That's why everyone respects Steve Cohen, even though the Mets were a disaster. They went for it. They spent some money. Teams like the Guardians, the Rays, the Orioles, they're so good at developing young talent. If they added money on top of that, they would be World Series contenders almost every single season, but they don't invest in their team. They cry poor, and I'm sorry for the rant, but it had to be said. Some of the dumbest quotes I've seen from an owner in quite some time. The Orioles are one of the better teams in baseball because of their young talent, and you're telling your fan base, we can't afford them unless you spend $87 on a single beer. I don't like that. Shut up. All right, well, another team that did not play yesterday, the Yankees, they might have had their best news day in weeks, and they didn't even play. Brian Cashman, he is finally calling up some top prospects, but this is, I mean, maybe 8 weeks too late. I don't know. But hey, at least they did it. Everson Pereira, he hit 300 with 18 home runs, 11 stolen bases, and a ridiculous 920 OPS in the minors this year. Oswald Peraza is finally back on the big league club. He had 14 home runs and 16 stolen bases, along with sick defense as always. But the difference is, these guys, according to Aaron Boone, they're going to be playing every single day. So finally, they're not going to be filling in here and filling in there. They're going to be everyday guys. Jason Dominguez, by the way, he got called up to AAA in the minor leagues this year at 20 years old. He has 15 home runs and 37 stolen bases. This guy is going to be an absolute monster. They call him the Martian. So the Yankees are finally pushing all the buttons, but it's probably way too late. All right, so the rants are over. Let's talk about the games from yesterday. We have the Tigers and the Cubs. After Chicago ran it up to a 4 spot on a solo home run from Seiya Suzuki in the 4th inning, momentum slowly started to shift. These two guys have been cheat codes for the last 2 weeks. You have Torkelson, he bashed one, and Kerry Carpenter, he also bashed one. Check out their stats. Over his last 15 games, Torkelson is hitting .350 with 8 home runs. Carpenter also has 8 home runs over his last 15 games, but he's hitting over 400. Kerry has 25 home runs and an almost 140 OPS plus in his first 113 big league games. Cody Bellinger, he stole some momentum back on an RBI single, but Detroit, they would not quit. Javi, he came up with the bases loaded. It's the first time he's ever facing his former team, the Cubs, and that hit right there would have made me throw a controller if it was MLB The Show. He plates 2 on a bloop double, and then Zach McKinstry, he tied it up. The Tigers, all they have to do is hold the Cubs scoreless, and yeah, about that magical. He picked up his second RBI double of the game, and then there was an RBI ground out from Ian Happ that pretty much makes all the difference because Torkelson, he got on again. He scores on a Matt Vierling single, but that was all they could muster. The Cubs, they've won 3 in a row. I thought this game was a walk-off, but it definitely wasn't. Here are some walk-offs. Look at the A's go, man. Rookies Jordan Diaz and Zach Geloff, they both connected on solo home runs, and Geloff, I mean, this should have counted for 2 home runs, 430 feet on that blast. In his first 32 games as a big leaguer, Zach Geloff is hitting .305 with 21 extra base hits and 7 stolen bases. That is some serious production, and as good as he's been, Bobby Witt Jr., he's been better. Bobby basically matched Geloff foot for foot. That's his 25th home run. Over his last 40 games, he's hitting 340 with 13 home runs, 37 RBIs, and 12 stolen bases. Like, what even did I just say? Shea Langoliers, I'm going to call him Shea Bangoliers for this clip. That ball went 460 feet. If he ever learns how to take a walk, he's going to be the next Cal Raleigh just without the switch hitting. The tables turned in the 8th after Kansas City. They were spotted 2 runs, so it's 4-4 now, but all that did was set up this epic moment. Brent Rooker, he walked it off. He has back-to-back games with a home run. He has 21 home runs on the season, and to be honest with you guys, that's a pretty solid W for the A's, even though it came against the Royals, but the Royals, their offense has been way better lately, so a solid win. Now, before we talk about the Mariners game, this is actually kind of a must-win game for the Rangers because the Mariners, they are as red hot as anyone. Texas starting pitcher Jordan Montgomery has been everything the Rangers could have ever hoped for, and honestly, he's been better. He was wheeling and dealing all night long. He threw 0 after 0. Arizona, they were tough to figure out as well, so both teams, they were held scoreless through the first 6 innings. That's when El Bombe, he stepped up and finally broke the stalemate on his 31st home run. J-Mo, I don't know if people call him that, but Jordan Montgomery, he ended up going 8 shutout innings, only allowed 4 base hits. He has a 1.7 ERA and a 2.6 FIP in his first 4 starts as a Ranger. He's been better than Max Scherzer. All Texas had to do was rely on Aroldis Chapman, but this is not setup man Aroldis Chapman. This is closing pitcher Aroldis, and that felt inevitable. But also, Ketel Marte, he flat out rakes. He cracked his 20th home run, and then Texas, they could kind of breathe a little bit in the 10th inning after Nathaniel Lowe, he doubled in 2 more. Just the Snakes, they wouldn't go away. Perdomo, he is a menace with runners in scoring position. He makes it 3-2, and there it is. Tommy Pham has a walk-off 2-run double, and I want you guys to stick around until the end because we have a big update on the standings, both in the AL West and the NL wildcard. Things are getting crazy. Wait, we have an update on the AL West? I thought the Rangers were kind of running away. No, the Mariners, they are playing like the best team in baseball. Okay, I should say the second best team right behind the Dodgers. Cal Raleigh is on a warpath right now. He knocked in his first 2 of 6 RBIs on the night. There's RBI number 3, his 23rd home run of the season. Teoscar Hernandez, he made it back-to-back home runs, and then he grabbed his 2nd and 3rd RBIs on a single in the 6th inning. Literally everyone has been contributing for the Mariners as of late. Luis Castillo, he was sick as always. He struck out 9 White Sox over 7 innings, and at one point, I can't believe this is a real stat, at one point, he threw 49 consecutive fastballs in a row. After he left the game, the scoring picked right back up on Cal Raleigh's 2nd of the night, a long 3-run tater into the Chicago sky. That is a 6 RBI night. The dude has 10 home runs, 20 RBIs over his last 20 games. Dominic Canzone, he popped 1 as well. He has 2 home runs and a near 380 on base percentage over his last 8 games. The AL West, it might be going through Seattle if the Astros and the Rangers don't get their acts together. Now, before we move on, I do want to fanboy real quick over Luis Robert Jr. Look at this insane play he made to rob Mike Ford earlier in this game. Luis has 30 doubles, 33 home runs, 16 stolen bases, and an insane 10 outs above average in center field. He just turned 26 years old. If he ever learns to walk more, he's going to be a top, not 10, a top 5 player in all of Major League Baseball. So we've talked about the Rangers, we've talked about the Mariners. What about the Astros? That's not a great start right there. Adam Duvall, he welcomed himself with a long 3-run home run to the train tracks, but that's all that they got off of Christian Javier, who has been pretty bad, by the way. Houston, they immediately came back to tie it. Maldonado, he laced an RBI double, and then Bregman and Alvarez, they both singled in a feud to give the Astros a 4-3 lead. Make it 7-3 now. Chas McCormick, he has been a cheat code for months now. He belted his 2nd home run in the 8th inning. His stats over the last month and a half have been stupid. Since July 1st, he's hitting .325 with 12 home runs and 33 RBIs in 38 starts. Yainer Diaz, he has been a monster as well. As a rookie catcher, he's hitting .281 with 18 home runs and an almost 130 OPS plus. The AL West division is going to be complete madness for the next few weeks. Now, imagine if the Angels went on a streak when Mike Trout comes back. By the way, I do want to mention a few days ago, Jose Altuve, he collected base hit number 2,000, and over his last 162 games, he's hitting .304 with 70 extra base hits and 29 stolen bases. I know the bang jokes and the buzzer jokes are always going to be there, but he is one of the most talented second basemen of all time. There, I said it. He is a pantheon second baseman. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So we talked about the Cubs earlier in this video, and what's crazy is Chicago can actually leapfrog the Giants in the wild card standings if the Phillies can get the job done versus the Giants. After Jock Peterson muscled out a home run, Harper, he tied it on an RBI single to score a tray, and that right there, that set the tone. And Mundo Sosa, he has always crushed lefties. 410 feet on that 2-run blast. Alec Boehm, he connected on his 13th home run. His stats are stupid this year. In 152 games last year, he had 13 home runs and 72 RBIs. In 111 games, so 41 fewer games, he has 13 home runs and 77 RBIs. He just turned 27 years old. Maybe he's entering his prime finally. Harper, he turned on the turbos to grab the 5th inside the park home run this week in MLB. What is going on? I love his little shrug at the end after he crosses home plate. He has 10 extra base hits and 10 RBIs over his last 14 games. Bryson Stott and Johan Rojas, they both contributed with some RBI extra base hits. Stotts was on a double. Rojas, that is his first career triple, and look at Schwarber go. He capped off a 10-run night with a mammoth 445-foot 2-run blast, his 33rd. He's hitting 183 with a 106 OPS plus. So according to the nerds, he's been above average. According to boomers, he's been awful. So we have another NL East team that scored 10 runs, and it wasn't the Atlanta Braves. DJ Stewart, he is apparently Barry Bonds as a member of the Mets. He has 5 home runs over his last 20 at-bats. Rafael Ortega, he has been contributing at a high level as of late as well. He socked a 2-run home run, and methinks that made the Braves mad because Ozuna, he hit 2 in this one, and in between was a huge 2-run double from Michael Harris. That tied it, and then Marcel's second put the Braves up by 1. Osuna, he now has 26 home runs. They are the only team in baseball with 5 guys with 25 or more home runs. The MLB record is 6 hitters. Boston back in 06, Minnesota back in 2019, but Sean Murphy has 20 home runs and Eddie Rosario has 19. The 2023 Braves could have 7 players with 25 or more home runs. That is never going to happen ever again. Okay, back to the game. McNeil, he knotted things up at 4-4, and then New York, they stole their lead back. Alonso and Vogelback, they both singled in a run, and then, oh my, Francisco Lindor, he hit one very far. 3 runs on 1 swing. He's hitting 357 with 4 home runs, 16 RBIs, and 6 stolen bases over his last 25 games on the season. He has 23 home runs, 21 stolen bases, a 120 OPS plus, and 11 outs above average. He's now top 5 in F-WAR, Fangraphs WAR. Francisco Lindor has been almost invaluable despite his low batting average, because batting average, it's overrated, let's face it. Pittsburgh had already scored a few off of St. Louis when rookie Liover Peguero laced a 2-run single to double the lead. In his first 27 games this year, he has 16 RBI, so he has been very productive. Connor Joe, he ripped an RBI double right before Josh Palacios ripped the cover off of baseball, and he really enjoyed it. Okay, but he wasn't done just yet. He collected a second RBI extra base hit, this time a 2-run double in the 8th inning. He broke it all the way open. Alika Williams, he made it an 11 spot, so 9 of the 11 RBIs were from rookies in this game, and just when you thought it couldn't get much better for Josh Palacios, look at him ending the game, a walk-off web gem. The Pirates, they dismantled the Cardinals 11-1. We have one of the biggest series of the second half happening right now in San Diego. The Marlins and the Padres, they can't win their division because the Braves, they're going to win the NL East, and the Dodgers, they're going to win the NL West, so they're both fighting for a wild card spot. Ryan Weathers, he was facing off against his old team, and Ha-Seong Kim, he is having one of my favorite seasons ever. That grand slam gives him a home run in back-to-back games. He's 3 away from 20 home runs, so he has 17 home runs, 28 stolen bases, and 17 DRS, 17 defensive run saves. That is insane. Machado, he went yard. He was kind of written off as old after his terrible start, but the dude quietly has been a machine since July 1st. In 44 games, he has 15 home runs and 41 RBIs with a stupid 940 OPS. Josh Bell, he won't stop breaking either. That's his 7th home run in 18 games as a Marlin, but they were facing Michael Wacha, and that's all that Wacha gave up. He has now gone 12 consecutive starts without allowing more than 2 runs to score. Over his last 12 starts, he has a 1.15 ERA. So even though Josh Bell is raking with the Marlins, and all of the Marlins fans have been clowning me, a Guardians fan, yeah, the Marlins are 7-11 with Josh Bell, so stop tagging me. The Mariners have won 7 games in a row, so they are just 2 games back of the Rangers for first place and a half game back of the Astros for second place. In the NL Central, the Cubs are now 2.5 games back of the Brewers. The Brewers and the Cubs have both won 3 in a row. The Reds, they've lost 2 in a row. They're 4 games back. And then the West, we don't have to talk about that in the National League. But what we do have to talk about, the NL wildcard, even the Mets are kind of in it right now. They're 6.5 games back. The Padres, they're 5.5 games back. But the Marlins, the Reds, and the Diamondbacks, they're all right behind the Giants. The Giants are a half game behind the Cubs for the second place in the wildcard. And the Phillies, they're still looking good right now. They're 68-57, so they're 3 games ahead for that first place wildcard spot. And then in the AL wildcard, you have the Blue Jays 1 game behind the Mariners. But the Mariners, they look like one of the better teams in baseball, at least for the second half. They're a half game back in the Astros. So like I mentioned, the Astros, they better start picking up W after W, because the Mariners are looking pretty good. The Blue Jays have won 2 in a row. The Red Sox are not terrible. And hey, maybe the Yankees and the Angels can go on runs once the Angels get back Mike Trout, and the Yankees, they call up all their prospects. All right, today's Immaculate grid, it looks actually like it could be a harder one. So we have the White Sox and the Astros. I could go Kendall Graveman, but I want to get a better pick. The Orioles and the Astros, I'm going to go Jonathan VR. I'm almost positive he was on the Astros at one point. 2%, look at me go. A 40 home run season for the Astros. Did Bagwell ever get 40? So we have Bagwell. What about that one? Carlos Lee. You guys remember Carlos Lee? Jordan. Did Jordan hit 40? I might come back to that one. I don't know if Carlos Lee. That might be my sneaky pick. Angels and the White Sox. Reynaldo Lopez. He was in that trade with Lucas. Hello, Ronaldo. There he is. Ronaldo Lopez. What is he? 6%. Okay, we're looking pretty good so far. The Angels and the Orioles. I'm going to go Dylan Bundy because he was in that trade. Also, the Orioles got Kyle Bradish in that trade. 14%, so there goes. I wanted to get everything under 10%. A 40 home run season for the Angels. Did Troy Gloss ever hit 40? I think that he did. Maybe Vladdy. Mark Trumbo. I don't know if Mark Trumbo ever hit 40. 500 plus home runs in a career. I'm going to go Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas is easy. Let's go Frank Thomas. 60%. My rating score is cooked. 500 plus home runs as a Oriole. I don't know if Adam Dunn ever played for the Orioles. Maybe Tomey. I'm going to go Jim Tomey. Didn't he play? Yes, he did. 9%. Look at me go. I pulled that out of my hat. 500 plus home runs with a 40 home run season. I mean, I could go. Actually, this might be a crazy stat. I don't know if Hank Aaron ever had a 40. Maybe it was a 50 home run season. I could go Barry Bonds. I could go Rafael Palmeiro. I could go. I'm going to go Sosa. I'm going to go Sammy Sosa is kind of a sneaky one. 5%. Okay, that's actually pretty solid. An Angels 40 home run season. Troy Gloss, maybe. Okay, I'm going to go Kendall Graveman right here because my rarity score is already cooked. I'm going to go Kendall Graveman for the Astros and the White Sox. A 40 home run season for the Astros. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Bagwell did it. I don't know if Carlos Lee did. What about Chris Carter? Chris Carter was a sneaky power guy back in the day. An Angels 40 home run season. Gloss, I'm pretty sure Gloss hit 40. Please. Yes, 19%. I could have gone Mike Trout. I could have gone Vladdy, I think, maybe. 40 home run season for, I'm going to go Bagwell. I'm just going to go for an easy one just to get all of my picks. That was a terrible rating score, but we got all of them right. Thank you guys for watching today's MLB recap. If you enjoyed, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also, I do post MLB The Show almost every single day. This is my gaming channel. We're trying to get to 100,000 subs. Click that, subscribe, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.